What's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to talk about the Civivi Altus. Altus, Latin for high or elevated. Has Civivi elevated the game on this one? The answer in short is yes. This is the most recent plunge lock folder from them, following on the heels of the Cogent, which this will be the only appearance that I have. It's not really a true comparison knife. They carry very different, they handle very different, I think, in terms of the bulk and that sort of thing, and harder use. Yeah, the Cogent, that's all you're going to see of that one. Not really a comparison knife. But yeah, this one has thumb stud deployment. Yay! It also has a non-coated blade, even though there is a Damascus one which has a little bit less coating, if you will. Still a blackened blade though. This knife is 3.1 ounces in weight. Has a 3-inch blade of Nitro V steel. It's kind of good mid-range steel, not bad. It prices at $72 for this G10 bead blasted model. So yeah, we're talking about a value knife and a very darn good one. So in terms of some actual comparisons, again, talked about the Cogent isn't coming its way in here, but there is a USA-made blade knife that I kind of felt in the pocket worked a little bit for me, and that was the Kershaw Leak Ken Onion design. So it's a lot thinner, has a different blade, Warncliffe, and it is assisted. But again, that's definitely one of those that I thought kind of did. Made me feel like it. Another Civivi made knife is this Ferrum Forge design Stinger. The Stinger just has a 3.25-inch blade versus this 3-inch blade. But in terms of overall blade shape, you have that flat grind, and of course that one's a liner lock as well. But that knife prices for about $100, and I think the Kershaw Leak is somewhere in that $100 range as well. So kind of price similar in terms of those goes up. Also. The SOG Terminus was definitely one that I felt very much kind of felt like a little bit bulkier and thicker in the hands. We can kind of show those. So it has that more solid hand feel there, which I kind of prefer instead of the super thin knives. I'm just not a thin knife person. If you are, you might prefer some of those thinner options. This, of course, uses their XR or crossbar lock. Has a few more fidget options. It has thumb studs, and then it also does have your flipper there, as well as you can just do the good old crossbar release, very much like the Axis. So that's also, I think, a viable option. But the one for me that I really felt, and that one goes for, I think, it was like $85 for that one. But for me, the one that this felt similar in hand, pocket carry, button deployment as well, because none of those other three had button deployments, is the Kaiser Vanguard Swayback. This is the Swags design one. I'll go ahead and link that, the full review of that one. But in terms of the hand feel, definitely they have a nice similar width, thin blade stock. The grind is a full grind on the Swayback, and versus this one's I don't know, probably 7/8 grind, full flat grind. But yeah, in terms of when I was just carving on some wood, they both felt very similar, very comfortable in hand. So I think for me, that would be the one, that I would really be looking at actual comparisons on. And that one goes for about $60, I think, for this one. This one is in red micarta. So yeah, definitely in the comparison range there, I think. Let's jump into the pros of this knife. The fit and finish are absolutely fantastic. The texturing, the chamfering is just done with great Civivi pride and workmanship. So I really appreciate that. And for the price, literally, this thing is just fantastic. No blade play up or down. Very hard to do and get right with a plunge lock. So, these plunge locks also, actually, if you take a look there, got just about perfect 40 to 50% engagement on the blade. The blade is very tight and snug next to the liners here. You don't see that in the Cogent. The Cogent had a lot of gaps there, and so they had, a much bigger space there. But yeah, this one fits a lot better. So you're going to have a much tighter fit, but still that great drop shut action. So fantastic on that. I do appreciate super much that there is a non-coated blade, albeit this is bead blasted. We'll talk about that later. The concave button recessing is really good. You can kind of see that there's a little concavity in there, and it just gives you a little bit of purchase on that, instead of it just being flat or rounded. Going back to the Kaiser, this one actually has a rounding on it, and that particular thing, that was kind of one of the things I didn't like as much. Certainly prefer the concavity of this. And then, of course, they have also the nice recessing. If you look at this in nice and flat, you have that button fully recessed in the closed position. So as button locks go, plunge locks, love that. The bevel pillar for the lanyard is great. It's not just a pin just drawn across there and sandwiched between the liners there. It has a nice little pillar shape there. And yeah, you can see that on the the front screen of this video is where I did test that out, and it worked just fine. Nice little thing. The plunge lock engagement is not only great in the locked position, but in the retracted position for deployment. And let's see what we can get there. It has just enough resistance. I won't call it detent, but resistance that it's really, really tough to fail this knife. Whether you're doing front side or back side, the Spidey flick, this is nearly perfect, if not perfect. This is literally in league with, I'm not kidding, I mean, it was like the ProTech Malibu in terms of that goes. So yeah, very good. Ambidexterity. Button locks themselves are very ambidextrous. You got your left hand. On this particular knife, they did go ahead and build right-handed tip up and also capability for left-handed tip up. So yeah, you never have to have your hands in the blade path, and great deployment, left-handed or right-handed. So very good there. The carry size of this thing was perfect in pocket, and that's where kind of all of these fit in. Is again, you just have a great carry, a little bit of width. I'll take that with a little bit of width in the pocket there. For me, just great. Fantastic carry size, and also the legality of the 3-inch blade here, or it's technically 2.98 or whatever I think they say on the website. I measured 3. I'm not that accurate. It's under 3 though for the legality purposes. The hand feel on this thing, perfect. Once again, you have the medium large hand fits just so that I have no pinky falling off there, and that's a great thing. So tons of pros going for this knife on it. On the con side, they did do a subpar sharpening job. I did have to actually just literally spend 2 minutes going through the sharp maker and then stropping this thing. It was literally about 2 minutes, and it made for just so much more of a pleasurable cutting experience. So I think that was, I won't say lazy, but maybe lack of QC. I don't know if somebody actually checks their blades, but it's much better now. In fact, I'll go ahead and bring in a little bit of cut here just to show that, yeah, this thing slices really nice. You can cut a piece of cork super thin. So yeah, with just 2 minutes of work on this one, so that could annoy people that don't, aren't knife folks, that don't mind spending 2 minutes sharpening. But if I should say for the knife folks, they won't mind it as much. But the non-knife folks, yeah, that could be a little annoying. Because normally, like an Elementum out of the box, I've never had be as dull as this, or certainly less attention to that edge bevel. This is kind of just a personal complaint, is they absolutely nailed on, in fact, I'll bring that in. Again, not a comparison knife, but Civivi killed it with this acid stone washing on the button lock Elementum. Made for beautiful blade. No such luck here. The only uncoated blade has this bead blasting on it, which is of course a finger magnet or fingerprint magnet, but also it's just not as classy looking. This is a classy looking knife, but for that bead blasting, because you can never ever touch the blade. Just makes it, who cares about that? It's just one of those things that, yeah, personal pet peeve, and I think a con against this knife. And lastly, I'll just say that this knife is kind of boring. There were a lot of safe choices here being made, starting from, they used a flat grind instead of, like on the Elementums and other models, which have hollow grinds. They went with kind of, just a drop point into a spear blade shape there. Okay, it's just kind of boring. I wouldn't argue anything on the handle side. I'd really mostly argue with that as cons on the blade side, is I think they could have done some other things. In fact, I'll go ahead and bring in one more Civivi knife where I think they absolutely just knocked it out of the park. And of course, they already had this blade shape from, this is the Civivi Pintail. But they did already have this blade shape from I forgot the name of the Hooligan, I think it was. But they made a lot of non-safe choices with this one. They went with the hollow grind. They went with, the thumb studs on this one. And for me, actually they went with thumb studs and flipping deployment. So again, the Pintail for me is actually, I think, a better overall knife. And, I think that goes for like $70 or $80. though I know it's not a comparison. Really, the point is that they kind of stepped outside of a comfort and safe zone. You know, they nailed the innards of this thing, the locking, the deployment, all that stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, they did go ahead and empty out a lot of weight there. Kind of, that's a pro I forgot about. But yeah, overall, really, if they had just simply made some less safe decisions, and maybe they're still in store. Maybe this is kind of a platform that they're going to build on, and that you know, they're going to go ahead and consider doing alternate blades, alternate steels, alternate materials, maybe micarta without having to have the Damascus. You know, if that follows, absolutely, this is going to probably vie not only for one of the greatest value knives. This might be the greatest value knife, as well as some of the customizations that hopefully follow with it. Hope you did find this blade useful. Hopefully you did find this review useful. If you did, go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and have a great day. Take care now.